Hello, friends. Welcome to the Homegrown Hopes podcast. I'm your host, 𝐓𝐢𝐿𝐼𝐻, and today I'm joined again by my friend Mandy Nix. Mandy joined me in episode 2 of the podcast. I think it was 2, where we talked about taking baby steps to reach your health and your homestead goals. And we talked about how we both have imposter syndrome and don't know how we ended up here. So I'll let Mandy give you guys a little background on herself.
Hi, yes. I'm Mandy Nix, and I am a registered dietitian in Morganton, and I have a practice called Healing Nutrition that I started about 4 years ago. And me and my husband also own a farm where we have animals, and we're open in the fall and spring for strawberries, pumpkins, and I guess homesteading.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, that's what people call it now. Once upon a time, that like the visual that I have of homesteading is like you're sitting out on the wagon train and starting from nothing. I think it's evolved a little bit.
Yes.
Which we're going to kind of talk about.
Cool now.
Yeah, it's the cool thing. Which is so funny because when that word first became trendy, I was like, I don't like that word. It's just not what it, because I had that like preconceived, no, we're not homesteaders. My gosh, I go to Aldi. But we're modern homesteaders, I guess, which is kind of what we came to talk about today. If you've listened to any of the other podcast episodes here, then you have heard the commercial for the Holistic Homestead Conference. And that is an event that Mandy and I are hosting here in our hometown in less than a month.
Oh my gosh.
Less than a month. We just had about an hour-long meeting kind of hashing out all the last-minute details, and I feel good about it, which makes me nervous. Like, what am I forgetting?
Yeah. But I'm excited. I was just thinking, I wish something like this was around 10 years ago.
Right.
When I was starting to dabble in homesteading, or just, when I think of homesteading or wanting to be more in control of your food and health, of just like that journey. That's where it started.
That really sums it up. There's so many, different facets of it, but that's really what it boils down to, is just being more intentional and taking more control of where your food comes from and how it affects your body, which you know a whole lot about as a nutritionist. So that definitely played a big part in how we wanted to shape this conference. So I guess we can talk about how we came about deciding to do this.
Yes. So it's been a year in the making?
Yeah, it has been. I guess last spring, she and I attended a homestead conference that we were very excited about. I was, I think, most excited that we had a kid-free day.
Oh, yes.
Not that I don't love my children. I'm sorry if you're listening, but it was just the two of us, and we were out of town, and it was so exciting, and like a really big lineup of speakers, big names, and how do you want to?
We left a little underwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I don't want to sound like, well, I can do that better. That's not ever how I want to.
But we came enthused of like, we're gonna leave inspired, grow our garden, dabble. Like I just thought that I would leave inspired and even knowing more than when I came. And
yes,
we didn't not feel that way, so we were just a little frustrated.
I think so. And not to say like I don't feel like I know everything at all. Every single day I learned something that I did not know about all of this. And so, and we went to some classes that we expected to stretch our brains a little bit. And we just kind of left like, well, that really scratched the surface. Or I did anyway. I think we both did. And as we were leaving there, we just had the conversations, and I said, I would love to have something like this at home. I have this dream of being able to host events and workshops, and I have thought about this so many times over the last year, like, get yourself a friend like Mandy who's just like, well, let's do it.
And I think we were like what we wanted from that homestead convention. What is what we dreamed up of. Like, this is what we were thinking of. Like, I want to know more about this and this and this. Be inspired, community, education, hands-on. I think that was huge for us.
That was what was lacking, I think.
And hands-on.
and maybe it's just the scale of how many tickets were sold. I don't know, because you do have to get, people in the seats to justify an event that big and bring in that many names.
Yeah.
But that's something that Mandy and I both left there like, if I were going to do this, I would want to really do it. I want people to leave and say, now, how did we do? I feel like the education piece really makes a connection, not only when you sit and watch someone, but when you do it yourself, right? For me anyway.
Oh, yes. I remember about 5 years ago, I started thinking about sourdough, just reading about the health benefits of sourdough. And I had so many I remember Googling it, trying different recipes. And I had a kind friend that was like, Mandy, spend the day with me. And she showed me from beginning to end. And finally, I was like, oh, okay. And it clicked.
Yeah.
I needed somebody to show me. Because you wouldn't believe how many flops I had just
I would believe.
So the hands, but just seeing it that had, and that was a game changer. And I just think with anything, just seeing, like, so workshops, I mean, I'm a visual learner, but so that was our vision too, was just hands-on.
And we do live in an age of technology when there's so much information out there. You can read a blog post, you can watch a YouTube video, but I just believe there's no better way to do it than just to do it. At some point, you're just taking in information, and it's more and more and more. And at what point do you pull the trigger and just actually get your hands dirty and do the work, right? And that was what changed sourdough for you.
Yeah. And I feel like the teachers, the instructors are experts in their field, but they're also been there, done that, had the flops.
Yes.
So they're just relatable. They're experts, but relatable, and have had a lot of flops along the way too. And
I think that's
personal experience of like, hey, I tried this, it didn't work.
Yeah. Would not recommend.
Yeah.
I think that maybe, there's a few online creators who share like behind the screen or whatever, but for the most part, it is the highlight reel, which is just the nature of it. It's not to their fault, but I think there's really something to be said about a person saying, oh my gosh, let me tell you about how bad I messed up my tomatoes last year. Don't do this. But we don't want to admit that we don't know what we're doing. If if you have that platform out there, you don't want to say, because you lose credibility in some sense, but I don't think so. I feel like when you share your flops, your failures with people, I think you gain credibility, because it's like, well, they know how not to do it also.
Yeah. And it shows we're human.
Yes.
And if you fail, keep going.
Yeah. And just keep trying.
And it's going to be Q&A. You get to talk with these instructors, not only at the farm lunch, but, there'll be plenty of times for questions. I mean, I'm excited about interactive, hands-on, true learning experience.
Yes, me too. I think that was one thing that was really important to us, was to have it be interactive. So the way that this homestead conference is going to look, the Holistic Homestead Conference, we have brought in instructors from all over our region and spread out a little bit even to teach. Do we have 16 classes at this point? We kept adding.
I believe it is 16. I know.
So many good topics. I was like, let's just do it.
I think we are.
I think we're at 16. So we have, let's see, some of our classes include, and we kind of handpicked things that we wanted to learn more about ourselves too.
I think the things that we want to learn more about, things that I feel confident, and things that I do not, and I want to know more.
Yeah. And I think the way that I felt about this, like sometimes if you're not talking to people face to face, you kind of just assume that people have it figured out, but we kind of have a little local community where we have really good conversations. Our mom's group is what I'm talking about. We have really good conversations, and every time I leave, I'm like, okay, everybody else feels like I do. We just, want the hands-on connection, want to actually learn in person. So some of the classes that we have on our lineup are herbalism, which your mom is going to be teaching. Do you want to give a little background on your mom?
Yeah. Yes, my mom is a herbalist, a naturopathic doctor for about 40 years now. I guess she's been, she's had an herb shop for years. She still does, but she's semi-retired, so it's in her home now. But she learned under, I don't know, Chief Two Trees of Black Mountain.
Yes, I know the name.
And then a local midwife, Carolyn Port, who has passed away, but she delivered my dad. She delivered a lot of, but this is back, 1940s.
Yeah.
So she'll be teaching the herbalism class.
Which is your mom. I wish that I knew just like a tenth of what she has.
Me
in her
too.
head. It's amazing.
Me too.
Like, I just follow you around for the day. It's amazing the things that she knows that, and she continues to learn. She's a lifelong learner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's so important, which is one of the reasons why we want to do this conference. I want to learn more also.
Yes.
Yes. So we have herbalism. We have a soap making class, which will be interesting.
Yes. Which I want to know more about soap
me
making too.
Yeah. And then one of the classes that has been a hot topic, sourdough. Yes.
Which is, I'm like trendy right now, but I
is.
think for good reason. I don't think it's just something that's going to be phased out.
It's held on for a good long while.
Yes. Well, I think there is a movement of where's my food coming from, questioning, big box companies and just trying to start making stuff. I mean, bread takes flour, water, salt. What is it? So when you look at the ingredients of bread in the grocery store, I mean,
it'll open your eyes.
30 ingredients. So so sourdough, it's hot now, but for good reason.
Yes. And we have a lady coming in from Tennessee.
Yes.
She's going to be teaching our sourdough class, which I'm very excited about because she has a culinary background, and she is a wealth of knowledge. Tess Weaver is her name. She's Tess Aurora Weaver on Instagram, and she's going to be teaching our sourdough class, which I'm super excited to pick her brain too.
Check her out on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, yes, because they just built their own house, like a cob house. I know.
Yes.
I'm so jealous.
So you get to meet with her. Like, I'm so excited.
I know, I'm fangirling.
Yeah.
We have a canning class, which is going to be taught by a local lady who her family lives off grid. Katie.
They built their home, her and her husband.
I know.
They're the most impressive
had her
couple.
A few episodes ago on the podcast, and we talked about off grid living. I don't remember the episode number, but you can go back. Maybe episode 7. We talked about off grid, but they, with their 3 sons, they're not they have no construction background. They built their home.
They walk the walk. Like
they do.
Yes. She is so inspiring. I've learned so much from her. So I'm excited for people to meet her and her husband. Her husband's doing the beekeeping class.
Yes. So she's teaching canning. Her husband's teaching beekeeping. They're also going to have a vendor booth, right? So they're going to have some of their goods from their homestead.
Yes, local honey. Beautiful. It is the best.
Uh-huh.
It's the real deal.
Yes. We have a functional medicine doctor coming in.
Yeah, that's our local functional doctor, Dr. Gomes. He has a practice in 𝐓𝐢𝐜𝐿𝐼𝐍, which is outside of Morganton. Yes, and Amber, who works with him, is a functional health coach. She will be teaching the functional nutrition class.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
What a lineup. So what I think is really cool too is all of these classes for a very reasonable ticket price.
Oh.
And then you get to ask them questions at the end.
Yes. And some brilliant minds.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Gomes has been like my past 10-year journey, just learning so much from him. He's an MD that really left the healthcare, like he worked at the hospital to start his own practice. I mean, I think that's
and he's made a
scary.
name for himself in this area for sure. Yes. I'm very excited about his class. We will have a family dairy class. That's you guys.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to have goat dairy and then cow dairy.
Yes.
Dairy cow.
Dairy cow. So Mandy and her husband will be teaching the dairy cow portion. And then we have another lady coming in to do the goat milking portion. So that was something that I wanted to touch on because I would love to have my own dairy animal, but I'm not at the point in my life where I need a cow. I mean, I think I need a cow. I think I need a cow. Everybody else in this family don't think I need a cow. But the goat would be a really great alternative to that. So we really wanted to have the option of exploring both dairy options and trying to find the best fit for your homestead. Yeah. And maybe the best fit is not having a dairy animal at all. Maybe it's connecting with your local farmer and supporting them. So,
and this is where we'll talk about the good, bad, ugly.
Yes.
If you would have told me 5 years ago we were going to get a cow that we milk every day, I'd be like, you are crazy. And now I can imagine not having it. Like this morning for breakfast, like it was chaotic. My kids had a glass of raw milk, and I was like, I feel good about that.
Yeah,
it is a commitment, but it's also been so great for our family, just nutritionally, and it helps support our farm. So it's a great fit. But it is a commitment.
It is. So I think it'll be great for people to be able to hash out and ask those questions and see the pros and cons and figure out, does that work for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know, maybe this is me projecting, but sometimes with the homestead movement that you see online, you feel like if you're not doing it like they are, then you're not a real homesteader. We've talked about this, like imposter syndrome. I don't have a dairy cow, so do I really count? Or, I'm not growing everything that we're eating. We're kind of in a transitional in between. I have some raised beds, but I go to the grocery store also, and I do buy local. But I guess we kind of want to break the mold a little bit of like, it is not one size fits all. You can make this fit to work for your family. So the dairy class is just a good example of that, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah, so true. And you're going to have your favorite things. Like we butchered chickens a couple years ago, like 40 some chickens. And we didn't love it. And now we send chickens off. I mean, it's okay to pick and choose your favorite. I think ultimately it boils down to being more in control of your health. And maybe you grow some of your medicines. Maybe you buy from a local herbalist.
Right.
Just, you don't have to know it all.
Yes.
To be more in control of your life.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a misconception that you have to do it all. And I can't do it all and don't want to do it all. There are some parts of this that I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And we live in an age where we have that luxury. We have the benefit of choosing that. So
that's where building a community, I think, is so important, because maybe you don't get a dairy cow, but you buy local raw milk because you see the benefits. Or maybe I won't have chickens again, or maybe I'll have them for eggs, but maybe we don't butcher chickens and we buy
from a local farmer.
And there's going to be a vendor that has pasture-raised chickens. So I think that is the big community piece too of, hey, maybe I won't be making my own soaps.
Yeah. But I can support the girl who is, and I meet her in person at this conference and talk to her about how she sources her ingredients. And I feel good about supporting her and what she's using.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that community piece. If you can't do it all, there's a lot of people that are dabbling in different things that really clean and good products that I want to support them. Plus, I want it for our family.
Right. Well, and I think that's one thing, you and I talked about this a little bit before we hit the record button, is I was so surprised when we started working on putting all of this together, and we were really trying to dig into our local community and find vendors that really aligned with what we were envisioning here. Mm-hmm. So not just everybody, but we really want it to be a place where when you purchase a ticket and you come, you are sourcing your local people and your local ingredients. Mm-hmm. But I was just shocked at how many resourceful people we have in our area.
Yes, in a smaller town.
Yeah, we're a pretty small town.
But there's a lot of people
who are walking the walk.
Yes,
they are, but not doing everything. Like we've sourced, someone who has really good local honey and someone who's doing soap making. And I think that's something that's really important about building community is outsourcing some of it.
Yes.
Spreading the love a little bit.
There's no shame. It is.
No, I think
that's what community looks like. You have strengths and weaknesses and the things that you're maybe not great at.
Yeah. And I think that we have
that is.
This idea that, the traditional homesteaders in the 1800s were doing it all. And I think to a certain extent they were, but in a much smaller scope. Like they did not have the broad ingredients that we expect in our diets. And they had someone who ran the meal, and that's who they got their flour from.
They had community.
They had community.
That's what made it run.
Yeah. It was very, very important to build community. So that was a huge factor for us in selecting these people. So, okay. You talked about butchering chickens.
Yes.
We will have someone there butchering chickens.
Yes.
And the someone is my brother-in-law. We've raised meat birds ourselves, and then he does it every year. And he is just really, he's figured it out. He has a sustainable agriculture background. He loves planting. He's actually going to be teaching our propagation class too. I suckered him into 2 classes. But as far as the chicken butchering, he does that for his family every year. And we have trial and error figured out what works best. So he'll have a good, good background on, you might not want to do it this way. So
he's been there, done that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think butchering can be intimidating, and a lot of people may like, I don't know about that. And I get that.
Right.
Being, cause it is what it is. But then I think it can be so beautiful at the same time of like raising this animal in a just a healthy way. Because when I think of meat today, I think of, my husband was telling me how like pigs are raised in high rises.
Yes.
And like, a lot of them come from like, overseas. And I just thought that is not the life for the pig. Like they should be rolling in the mud. They should be eating and grubbing in the dirt.
Yeah.
So it's just like raise your animals well, and that's a healthier animal. And then, yes, like it becomes food one day, but it's like I think they should have a good life and be raised well.
Oh yeah. Well,
I think that's
about like we raised a hog last year that we got from you guys, and she was a pet, and that was a hard thing. Yeah. That was a really hard thing because we've raised them in the past, but with friends, and they weren't here. And so we were still, raising our own, but there was a disconnect there. And so she was here. We named her, and that was really hard.
Yeah.
And we've done chickens and things like that, but the pig was a little bit different to me, and I wondered how the kids would take it. And it was such a good life lesson to know. I think there is such a disconnect between the food at the grocery store and the food that's on our plates. Some kids really think that that's where the food comes from, is the shelf. And there is a responsibility, I think, when you decide that you're going to source superior ingredients and really be intentional with what you're putting in your body. And that sometimes it's uncomfortable. I mean, that was a hard day.
Yeah.
And the kids, they understood it, which we have a hunting family. So they kind of know like something has to be sacrificed for what's on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
And
our job to be stewards for these animals is to give them a good life.
Yes.
And I think pasture-raised animals in their natural, eating grass, digging in the dirt, like that is the life for them. And not being cooped up in high rises, which is like mind-blowing.
Right. There's no way that does not correlate with the quality of the meat.
Oh, yeah.
It absolutely has to. So, So we will have a chicken butchering class. And we are also going to have a rabbit butchering class because that is something. Rabbit is like a really, really great option for a homestead, especially a small homestead as far as like the input to output and the turnaround. So that's all
it's doable.
It's very doable.
The instructor for that class, I think she could probably talk a little bit about, she doesn't have a farm. She's just
she lives in a neighborhood.
Yeah. And, but she wants to be able to have good, clean meat. And that's something she can do where she's at.
Yeah. And she is one of those people who, if I have a question about something, I know she's done the research on it.
Yes. Kristen is an expert about a lot of things.
She is. It's amazing the amount of energy she puts into really researching things. And I joked with her the other day. I can't remember what video it was she sent me, but it was something. Oh my gosh. And I told her, I was like, it was too early in the morning for you to tell me that like cashews were killing me or something. I can't remember what it was. But it was some video, and I was like, okay, keep some of the research tips. I can only take in so much. But as far as rabbits go, I'm very impressed because we knew her before she did rabbits, and she said, I'm going to learn this. It's important to me to have clean meat, and I cannot have a farm on the scale, but she does have backyard chickens. And now she has rabbits, and she has just really done her research and done it well.
And does it with her daughter.
She does it with
her
daughter.
Her daughter is learning this too.
Yes. So I think that's going to be a really interesting class. Okay. We also have, I'll let you talk about the mushroom class. You've kind of, sorry to put you on the spot. You've talked more than I have.
Yes. Shannon will be, he is doing our mushroom class. I'm excited about him because not just the medicinal purposes and for eating. And I think that's another one that anybody could do.
Oh, it's so easy.
Yes. I don't think I realized how, that maybe I could do that.
Yes.
And I buy mushrooms. I'm like, why am I not growing mushrooms? That's something I could commit to. So I'm excited about something this is something anybody could add, probably in their homesteading venture.
I mean, you could, I guess, do it on an apartment balcony if you want to.
You just need a log, right?
You just need a log.
A little shady area.
Yeah. And I think that's one of those things, like we did mushrooms probably a decade ago. We experimented with it. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I always go into whatever we experiment with is like, if it fails, it fails. We're just going to try it, And mushrooms is one of those things. And it was so easy. I don't know why I had complicated that in my head. I had watched too many videos.
Yeah, well, the disconnect.
The disconnect.
It can seem intimidating.
We finally just got out there with the drill and started plugging a log and grew mushrooms. Wow. And but I'm really excited to hear Shannon. Like, he has a lot of knowledge about which ones to grow and why you would want to grow certain ones. So I'm excited. Yeah. We will have a beekeeping class we mentioned, which I think beekeeping is like rocket science.
That's one that's been challenging for us. So
it has been a challenge for me.
We have bees, but we have struggled. Bees leaving the hive, sitting in your dining room, and you're like, well, there's a swarm of my bees in a tree,
Yeah, so many times. We actually just lost our last hive, and I am so annoyed by it. I'm like, I really tried this time, you guys. I really tried. And by me, I mean Dustin, because I got stung a couple times and I'm afraid of him. But yeah, beekeeping is one of those things that we have failed at.
Yeah. And that's why I want to be present at this class to learn. And 𝐓𝐢𝐜𝐤𝐿 is teaching this class, and he's awesome to be like, yeah, it's challenging. This is what I've learned just having conversations with him. It's challenging.
It is. It's one of those things, but I think, and I may be wrong about this, but beekeeping is one of those things that I think it really helps to connect with someone in your local area. Because that has so many different effects on your hive, and your feeding schedule and all of those things that I've watched a lot of videos, and then I talk to local beekeepers and I feel a completely different way. Not completely different, but man, there's a lot of gray area there. So that's a class I will be attending.
But I'm a fan of raw honey. Just a side note, my son has terrible allergies. For the past year, we've done raw milk and raw honey, even if it's raw honey in his milk. I'm not kidding. Allergies non-existent this year. It was so bad. He'd wake up with matted eyes. Just cause, and no allergy. I mean, that's just because, this is, we'll save this for class, but just researching how raw milk can help with allergies. Because the cows eat the grass, eat the pollen. Same with raw honey. But
oh man, I need to do that because
my son
Creech has allergies. So
I highly recommend. I'll talk more about the class, but that's just, yes.
Oh man, so many connections here. Okay, so we will also have, you said there's a class about setting healthy habits.
Yes, that's a counselor, Dr. Peters, in Morganton. She has her own counseling practice. So the things that we're talking about, sometimes that you get in your own head of, maybe I can't do that, or I've had a flop. So I just think she's going to be a great resource for the mental battles sometimes with homesteading of like, can I do this? Or I live in town. I can't do that. Or I can't.
Yeah.
And
having really simple action steps and maybe being really honest with yourself and saying, well, maybe I don't want all of that. Like maybe I don't want a dairy cow and all this. Maybe I want to do it on a smaller scale and that fits me better. I think just having someone there to kind of talk through those options.
Yeah.
And how to reach your decision.
Yeah. And how to reach your goals. And our list, everybody's journey is different.
Yes.
I know. Just how
it's a beautiful thing.
Yes. Yes.
We also have a human movement class. That's going to be early in the morning.
Yes. To start the day with some movement. That's going to be led by Daryl. So he is another great resource for health and the body.
So we're going to get the juices flowing first thing in the morning, wake up a little bit, and dive into all of our classes. We will also be rounding out the end of the day. Oh, I didn't mention the gardening class. We have a gardening class.
Oh, the gardening class. I'm so excited. Amber, they've got to check her out.
Yes. So if you go to Instagram, Grace Walk Farm, Amber is her name. She's going to be teaching our gardening class, and she's going to be talking about common mistakes that gardeners make. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, I just love to watch her stories.
She's hilarious. She's relatable.
And just so sweet. Like just reaching out and connecting with her. She has been so wonderful to work with. And oh man, I love following her. She really has a heart for what she's doing and sharing all of her skills, and she has a lot of exciting things in the works for her.
Yeah, and I think she's a newbie, right? Like she didn't.
I think she's interesting. Like her third or fourth year of gardening, so a fairly new gardener, and they do it on a small scale. Yes. They don't have 100 acres. Mm-hmm. She has done it really well, and I'm so excited.
And supporting her family. So I love to see the ones that have little acreage and making it work to. For the doer and dreamer? Yeah.
So natural living for the dreamer and the doer. Yeah. Every walk of life. But she is just, she is really blown up on Instagram, and for good reason, because she is so good at sharing what she's learned.
Yes.
And she's going to be a great one to attend her gardening class.
It's going to be hard to choose.
I know. I'm like, we're just going to have to be incognito that day and sit in the back row and just take notes.
Yeah, just a reminder, we're having 2 classes each hour.
Yes.
From 9 to 5.
Yes. So you will be able, and a couple of those hours have 3 classes just because we could not pare it down.
We wanted to fit in.
Yeah. So 9 to 5 that day, there will be 2 classes to choose from each hour. And you can go to one of the classes, and if you feel like, well, maybe I want to check out the other one, you can get up and go to the other class. Don't feel like you're stuck in that class. If you decide that chicken butchering is not your thing, you can go to the other class.
Or grab a friend and split.
Divide and conquer. And then we will round out the day with a homeschool panel. Mandy and I are both homeschool moms, and we have an amazing homeschool community here locally. And so we have a group that meets every Friday, and we do some of similar curriculums, but a lot of different backgrounds and different styles of learning. So that was one thing when we selected the people for this homeschool panel. We have a lot of different styles. So you will be able to ask questions and hear, we have, like Waldorf style and Charlotte Mason and all of the things. So
and different story, like some moms are working moms, some part-time, some full, just I think different.
Yeah, how we're making it work.
Like having the desire. And me, like I remember having that conversation. Like, man, so like Caitlin's doing.
We had a conversation. Actually, both of our kids, Mandy and I, knew each other and connected, and then our sons were in the same kindergarten class in a public school, a charter school, and we reconnected. And that was the year that COVID happened, and I was like, I'm going to homeschool. I'm going to do it. My gosh.
And me feeling like it was impossible.
Yes.
And so I still work outside the home and still homeschool because it was just the desire of, I think it was best for our family. And
right. So there will be a lot of talk about like, how did you get to this point and how are you juggling it? Because it is a struggle and a juggle some days.
Yep.
Most days. Our children are running around here.
While we have not heard them come in.
I know. I threatened them. I was like, here's a popsicle, go outside. I don't know. I posted an Instagram story last week, I think it was. And I was like, I'm in my recording studio, which is a spare bedroom. And this is my sign. And like this is so stupid. When I'm about to go record, I'm like, quiet on set, recording in progress, and then I shut the bedroom door.
Well, if people could actually see how we're making all this work, we're just moms, just having the desire to like feed our children well and all these things, and it's just like
you just make it work. You figure it out, and sometimes you do it well, and sometimes you don't,
and sometimes you flop.
And I think that's what I want to show in this Homestead Conference too. Is I want to see behind the scenes of, I want to ask you, why did you not do it this way? What made you decide that this was right for you? And another thing, we haven't even talked about the meal.
The meal, the farm to table meal.
Yes. So we have a few different options. We have 3 different ticket options. You can either come to just the vendors, and they're really, really good vendors. And we hope that even if you don't have it in your budget to attend the classes, come see the vendors, because that's where you're going to connect with your local honey person, your local person who's raising pasture-raised chickens. We are going to grass-fed beef. We have a beef provider there. We're going to have people from our local cooperative extension office there talking about what resources, often free resources, are available through your local cooperative extension. Farm Bureau is going to have a booth there. Who else? Who am I forgetting? So many.
Herbalism. So we have herbal products. There's a skincare vendor that has products made with tallow. We have over 15 vendors.
It's going to be great.
Which is great. It's no other festival in my mind. These are hand-picked, natural living homestead vendors.
And that was something that was really important to us, is to be really picky about who we brought in. Because we want it to be really relevant to what we're teaching.
Yes.
And we want you to be able to make a connection there. Maybe this is, you decide that I really like how they're raising their chickens, and that's a family that I want to support, and I want to feel more connected with where my food's coming from. And now I've made that connection. So you can come to just the vendor portion. You can come to, every ticket gets you into the vendor portion. So you can come and meet those people regardless. The next step up would be the lecture. So you can come and choose which class you want to attend. or both, half and half, however you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the best option
Oh,
is the
yes.
VIP option. So with that, you get to obviously shop our vendors, come to all the classes, and you also get to gather around the table at lunchtime with all the instructors, with other people who have purchased VIP tickets, and you get to just fellowship over a meal and chit chat.
Yes.
And it's going to be a good meal.
Let's
too.
talk about this
Let's
meal.
talk about food.
Yes. So we'll have pork, and that's going to be raised at the farm.
Yes.
And we have
Very nice.
pasture-raised pork. Yeah.
Yes. We have a local chef.
Yes.
And he is wonderful. He is, he's going to do a great job, and he's open fire cooking out there. Like, it's going to be on the farm. He's cooking it.
Yeah.
We're going to have local vegetables and
potatoes, because
who
doesn't like potatoes?
Because potatoes are the best.
And homemade biscuits.
Speaking of which, you talking, I'm going to text my husband and say, take those potatoes out of the oven, because there's potatoes in the oven downstairs. Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm excited about the meal. And then we'll have our bakery. And that's available for all tickets. Well, so the farm does have a bakery, but for this day only, we're going to specialize in more of healthier treats.
Yes.
We've had a lot of requests for gluten-free treats.
Yes.
Maybe some lower sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Items made with honey, sourdough.
Yes.
So that's available for all tickets. But that's just for that day.
Yes, the bakery will be open for that. So you can snack in between classes, and then VIP ticket holders will join us at the meal, which is just out, like, it's going to be beautiful. I follow these Instagram pages where they have like that out in the field farm to table, and I'm so excited about that. We're going to make that a real life thing. So,
and we have a little homesteader ticket.
Yes, we do have.
So we
that
do have
option.
some kids activities. So if you need to walk out with your children, or
you have an awesome playground.
On the farm.
Yeah.
Bouncy pad.
Yes.
So there's farm activities, so you're welcome to.
And you can see the activities if you visit the Henry River Farms website. You have the options there for the kids activities, but we do have the tickets available. Oh, another thing is the swag bags. We just got done talking about
tickets. All these swag bags.
Oh,
awesome.
I'm so excited. I'm going to have to set some aside for myself there. So we're going to have lots of coupons for all of our vendors. Mm-hmm. Most of our vendors are offering coupons. Some treats in there, like snacks to get you through the day.
There'll be some samples of some of the products.
Yes.
From the instructors.
Yes. And it's in like a canvas tote bag that's got our cute little logo on it that you can take home with you. And we've got a branded journal and pen. So you can
you're going to be taking notes.
Yes.
At this conference.
Yes. You're going to want to remember this all. So all of that is available through the VIP ticket option. And all of these can be purchased on our website. It's holistichomesteadconference.com. And the VIP meal tickets are only available to purchase through the end of April. Yes, because we have to give our chef a head count.
Yes. So that's coming up.
Yes, it is. Next week. Mm-hmm. So we have a week left to purchase VIP tickets. Yeah. And to get our lives together here. I'm so excited.
I'm nervous, did you know? Because we're, but also so excited. Like, that I hope it's the first of many.
I do too. And I hope this is one of those things where people, obviously we want you to bring a friend, but if you come along, make a friend, I really want people to connect with other people who are at various levels of this thing. And maybe they come back every year and just reconnect. And what did you do this year? What did you try? So I'm just excited to see how this grows.
Me
and I'm
too.
Really excited with the response that we've gotten this first year. Because when we put it together, we were kind of like,
we had no expectations. I know. Because you don't know. But the community is here. People are wanting this education. People are desiring this. So, I know that there's a huge movement, but I just don't see it going anywhere. I think it's here to stay. Like,
I do too. I think it's not just a fad.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are really trying to, you say, call it getting back to a simpler way of life, and somewhat it is, but it's also not simple. I think we overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Though,
mean, it empowers you when you take more control of just what's at your dinner table, your health.
Yes.
And so people are desiring that.
Yeah, I'm desiring that.
Yes.
I'm doing it, and I'm still wanting to learn more. So, I'm very excited. I think this, like you said, will be the first of many years, and growing it every year. And oh man,
I know.
Yeah.
How great.
I know. We're doing it. So anyway, if you have any questions, you can find us on the website. Our email is there. Again, that is holistichomesteadconference.com. And tickets for the VIP option are available, through the end of April. So,
yeah.
We will hopefully
see you May 18th. Oh,
we didn't even say the date.
That's kind of important.
Okay, yes. So it is taking place May 18th of 2024. And it's at your farm, Henry River Farms. We're in the foothills of Western North Carolina, kind of in between Hickory and Asheville. That, if you're local-ish, then you know. And we are, anything else? What do I need to add? It's 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
May 18th.
And there's tons of great Airbnbs in Morgan. We have a lot of outside of
true.
Morganton, of course. So
Yes.
there's a lot,
Yeah, there are great places to stay and lots to do. Like, even if you come to the farm, it's very close to a state park. And
we have a few people that are like making a girls' weekend out of it. I've seen that. I know.
I love
think
that.
What a great weekend getaway.
Yes, it's going to be fun. So anyway, we hope to see you guys on May 18th.
Yeah, see you there.
All right.
This season of Homegrown Hopes is brought to you by the Holistic Homestead Conference. Have you ever dreamed of slowing down and becoming more intentional? Of not relying so heavily on the grocery store, but instead honing the skills to grow and preserve your own food and medicine? Have you yearned for a simpler way of life and a community to learn alongside? Then the Holistic Homestead Conference is for you. Nestled in the foothills of Western North Carolina at Henry River Farms, this conference is a way to learn real-life homesteading skills in person and hands-on. We have a lineup of classes including functional medicine, home canning, family dairy, gardening, natural living, and so much more. And did I mention the farm-to-table lunch? VIP ticket holders will get to sit down with all of the instructors and enjoy a lunch prepared by a local chef, and it includes a hog that was actually raised on the farm where the conference is hosted. It doesn't get any fresher than this. Be sure to grab your VIP tickets now because space at the table is limited, but we would love to have you there with us. If you're interested in learning more about the Holistic Homestead Conference and getting your ticket for not just the classes, but also our delicious farm-to-table lunch, then visit www.holistichomesteadconference.com or visit the link in our show notes and use code HOMEGROWN15 for 15% off of your ticket.